What is up, my loves? This is part one of a series that I'm doing on reasons why a woman goes from hot to cold, why you might have like really magnetized this amazing woman in, and all of a sudden it seems like she's repelled. So stick around. What is up, guys? I am Justina Victoria. I am a psychosexual expert for men and couples. And today we are going to get into some of the reasons why you might have this like woman who you're like, wow, I really like her. Everything was going good. And then all of a sudden it's like she's super rigid. She's like making excuses. She's not spending as much time with you. When she does spend time with you, she's not as like affectionate. You're like, what is going on? I don't understand. So this is part one of this series, from hot to cold. And in this part, we're going to talk about boy energy. So boy energy is when you sort of subconsciously digress into your inner child. So kind of move out of that strong, powerful, masculine energy that we really crave as women. And you start to like act more like a little kid, a little boy. And that's how you're relating to her when you're spending time together. And like, she's going to pick up on this in a real like subtle feeling or energetic sense. And she's going to start to move away from you. And so I've compiled my top 3 things that kind of happen that I've seen, excuse me, with my clients when they enter into that boy energy and they're relating to a grown adult woman from that place. So the first thing is competition. You know, you may be dating a woman who's like high value, high caliber. She may be really beautiful. She may be really intelligent. She may have a lot of achievements. She may just feel really impressive and you've put her up on a pedestal. Right. And now you have some narratives that are running in the background that are maybe not very clear or apparent to you, that you're not good enough, or maybe she doesn't see you as equal, or you don't see yourself as equal. Right. Or, maybe you're not as smart, or you're afraid that she's going to think you're not as smart, or she's going to see you as less than. And you start to just kind of subtly go into this like competition with her. And it's not like a fun competition. It's like where you start to play down like the things she says, or you play down her achievements, or so instead of like replacing or like competing with your own achievements, you start to sort of like play things down that she's like happy about or excited about. And that's one of the ways that you could be like competing with her. We don't want to compete. Masculine and feminine are not supposed to compete with each other. That is a super quick way to lose attraction to one another. You're meant to build each other up, right? So praise is extremely important. And so one of the ways that you can heal this is to really look at them. You're going to hear me on this channel over and over and over and over talk about narratives, because that is the core of everything. Like, what is the narrative? What is the story that you are carrying about yourself and your self-concept in relation to the women or the woman that you're dating? Right? Like, how do you see yourself in relation to her? Are you less than? Do you feel less than? If so, then you have a story about how you see yourself as less than. And that story needs to be upgraded. You need to be focused on something else. You need to be changing that narrative about yourself. No one else can change that except for you. So competition literally destroys the magnetism between masculine and feminine energy. It destroys the attraction, and it destroys your relationship. It destroys like the connection between each other. So like, she's not going to want to spend time with you if you're doing that, if you're constantly like belittling her, trying to make her seem like not as intelligent as she actually is, right? Always downplaying her. Like maybe she says something wrong and you're like, oh, ha, 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 right? So like, you did that wrong. And it's like pointing out her flaws or pointing out her mistakes. Like, nobody's going to want to spend time with somebody like that. So that's the first one. It's competition. Second one is going to be making fun. Okay. there's a real good way of doing this and there's a real bad way of doing this, right? So if you're constantly making fun of like her hair or her clothing, like she clearly feels good about herself. It doesn't matter what you think of her outfit. If she's coming off with that energy of like feeling herself and, you know, she's like all done up and she's excited to see you, and then you're like breaking her down and being like, oh, your pants are weird or whatever it is, like she's not going to want to like continue spending time with you. Why would you want to spend time with somebody who makes fun of everything you do or how you dress or like feeling really good about yourself and they're trying to tear you down? Again, this is coming from that place of insecurity, like not feeling good enough or feeling like you don't have enough to offer, or maybe you're not attractive enough, or maybe she doesn't see, you know, the best in you, or whatever it is. You have to excavate that narrative. You need to find what you're making it mean to you or about you. So making fun is fun when both people are having fun, right? If you're noticing that she's not really like, it's not a banter, there's no rhythm, there's no flow, like she's not like keeled over laughing her ass off, then and like you're doing it often, maybe like stop doing that, right? Because women, like nobody, you know, women especially, we spend so much time putting effort into how we look. Like seriously, we'll be in the shower, shaving our legs, exfoliating, doing all this stuff. And then if the guy's like, oh, hey, I need to cancel tonight, let's reschedule. You're like, oh my gosh, I just did all this shit. I shaved my legs for this, you know? So if we put all that effort in and then it's like, you just get made fun of the whole night, whether you're trying to like be cute and flirty, like it's not working. Right? Like stop doing that. If you're doing that, you know, you always want to like praise women. And again, like you don't want to go the opposite. You don't want to swing the pendulum to the opposite end of the spectrum where you're like, oh my God, you're a goddess. Oh my God. Oh, you're so beautiful. Like every 2 seconds either, because then like she's also going to get a feeling that you're less than, right? That like there's this phenomena that I call the pendulum, right? Where like you might be over here and you're like doing too much poking fun and da, 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 da. And that's coming from a place where you don't feel good enough or you don't feel equal to that person. Then it's like, well, stop doing that and be complimentative, right? And you swing all the way to the other side. And it's like, now you're just acting like you're doing way too much complimenting. And again, it's the same outcome. It's the same narrative. You don't feel good enough. It's like, you have to constantly be like, oh, I can't believe this person is with me, right? So, you know, it's always coming down to the narrative. Your behavior is based on the story you are carrying, right? So if you're finding that you're competitive or you're making fun, you're just like really like digressing or regressing into that sort of boyhood energy, you can feel it. And like we can feel it, especially as women. Be like, just get curious with yourself. Like, why am I doing that? What is the narrative? Like, what is the threat? What is causing me to regress back into a childlike state? And really get curious. Like, do I not feel good enough about myself? Or like, what's triggering me about spending time with this woman who I clearly really like, but I'm acting a fool? So the third thing I want to talk about today is being wishy-washy. Oh my God, we hate it. We absolutely hate it. So think about like the dynamic being like mom and a child. Like we don't want to make the plans. We don't want to hold your hand. We don't want to teach you what you need to know. That is not our job. Feminine does not thrive with responsibility. We become very rigid and hardened and nagging and upset and dysregulated. It is not our job. Okay, so masculine energy thrives on challenge, learning, planning, forward momentum. And it is your job to make decisions, to plan the dates, you know, and you don't have to do it every single time. You can let her do her thing sometimes and be like, oh, I really love to do this, or I want to do this special thing for you. But the majority of the time, it's your responsibility. Like, think of it this way. Masculine energy is a train powerfully moving through the world, okay? You are the train. She's getting on the train. Where are you going? What's the destination? You need to know these things. It's like, who the hell is going to get on a train that they don't know where the train is going? That doesn't make any sense, right? So if you're wishy-washy every time she asks you, oh, where do you want to go? Or what do you want to eat? Or, right? It's like, you don't have an answer. Like, get an answer, find an answer, have an answer. Because we don't want to be feeling like we're walking around with a little child and we constantly have to like figure everything out. That is, again, another thing that's going to, be really destructive to that magnetism between you. So those are my top 3 boy energy traits, right? That can be very like weirdly subtle. Like you may not even realize that you're doing it, but if you've noticed your woman go from hot to cold, then investigate, like, how do I feel about myself? What kind of concept do I have about myself? And am I doing any of these things? So if you feel like you need a little bit more support, I do offer one-to-one coaching. It's usually sold out. It's usually maxed out. So you can get on my waiting list. You can shoot me an email at justina@sexualmasterycenter.com. The link is below. I also offer my boys club, which is absolutely everything you could ever possibly learn when it comes to integrating your masculine energy, seduction, eroticism, and romance, healthy relationship dynamics, deconditioning your sexuality as a man, on and on and on. That thing is probably like a year's worth of information. That is $69 a month. You'll find that link below as well. And I also have my Erect course. If you're experiencing erectile dysfunction or sexual anxieties, that link is below as well. And I will see you guys in the next video.